Welcome back to the Patient First podcast. Today we're going to focus on a crucially important issue today, and that is getting more new patients. What's the best way to get more new patients? Well, word of mouth, right? And it sounds so cliche, it sounds so ubiquitous that we tend to neglect it. It is crucially important that we don't. As mentioned in the Insanely Productive Dentist workshop series that I lead, or as we call it at Upgrade Dental IPD, internal marketing is by far the most profitable way to get new patients, particularly, obviously, if you have any patient base at all. We all know that having a patient refer another patient to you, they come in with trust, right? And they're more likely to proceed with the treatment that you want, that the patient needs. Now, I want to also focus on reviews because reviews are a big aspect of getting more new patients, but it tends to be first a word of mouth referral. Then the prospective new patient goes home, looks at the website, looks at reviews, and then verifies what their friend or family member said. So, reviews are a big piece of getting new patients, but there's a lot of misinformation about internal marketing, about new patients that I want to dispel today. So, how do we get more new patients with internal referrals? Well, it's pretty easy, but first, let's discuss what not to do. And frankly, that is spending a lot of money, wasting time, energy, and money on things that frankly don't matter that much. What do I mean? Things like super expensive office furnishings, massages, beautiful artwork, free goodies, or, or just spending a lot of money just in marketing in general, right? The reason why we do this, why do we fall for these traps, marketing traps, myself included? I've wasted so much money on marketing because it's seductive. It's seductive because it would be so much easier to solve the problem of getting new patients just meant writing somebody a check. If I could write a check for $1,000 and get $10,000 in new patients, so easy, right? Frankly, that's why dental insurance is so big, is because it's easy for us to offload some aspects of our career, of our practice, particularly marketing, to somebody else. The bad news is that that doesn't work very well. We can't just write a check and have our practices grow to be insanely productive, right? So what can we do? How do we actually get people in our practices? Well, another piece of good news is that people don't like going to the dentist. Why is that good news? Well, the bar is set very, very low to wow. So instead of focusing on things that are hard and expensive, all we need to do is focus on what people don't like about going to the dentist, and we can transform that experience into an experience that gets them to talk to their friends, their family, and refer patients. It's as simple as that, and frankly, as challenging as that. So, what are the top 3 things we can do to wow people? And these are in order. And I don't mean in order a little bit. I believe strongly that these are fundamental things that if you want to grow your practice, in these steps, I would recommend changing your practice to make sure that you've got each of these nailed. Number 1, number 2, and then number 3. Starting off with number 1, which is mastering anxiety. Particularly, the number 1 thing about anxiety is the needle. So we've been drilled into our brains in dentistry, dental practitioners, dental patients, that there's some amount of pain that needs to be experienced and anxiety in a dental chair. It's absolutely not true. Almost all dental pain is due to anxiety. If you want to learn more about it, pick up the free copy of the Patient First Manifesto. I talk a lot about this in my book, but we do not need to cause pain in our patients. Flat out, 99% of the time, it is an art to deliver a pain free injection. There's all sorts of resources around this video, this podcast, or go to upgradedental.com. We have a course on how to deliver a pain free injection. It's very easy in theory, it just takes practice. And I practiced early on, frankly, in dental school. That was another story that I detail in the book. I focused on pain management in dental school because I read a book that talked about how pain management is the key to grow your practice. And frankly, 22 years ago, Dr. Kestner was right. I still believe that today it's the number 1 thing we can do to grow our practices. So if you want full trainings and resources, we've got links below. Go to upgradedental.com, but master art of a pain-free injection. And a key point too, when you get to the point where you are delivering 98% of the time a pain-free injection, you'll have patients, particularly new patients, who come in and they say, oh, wow, dentistry's changed so much. It's fantastic. I just love the fact that shots don't have, I've never had a shot not hurt before. That's amazing. What they're doing is they're mistaking your art of delivering a pain-free injection for a new procedure that gets rid of pain. That doesn't exist. And there's all sorts of different, adjuncts you can use to make it easier to give a pain-free injection. But let's be clear, a lot of people don't focus on this art. And so there's a lot of painful injections going around, which is exacerbating the problem. So if a patient says to you, boy, I love that dentistry's changed. It doesn't have to hurt anymore. I used to feel pain when I got an injection. I didn't that time. Say, thank you for noticing, because I pride myself on the art of delivering pain-free injections. And when patients notice that, it makes me feel good, because it is something that I strive hard for. And I promise you, I will do my best every single time you come in. If you need to be anesthetized to have that be a pain-free experience, absolutely, a 99 to 100% of the time, that should be the case. And by the way, if you have friends that are complaining about painful experiences, we'd love to see them and have them experience pain-free dentistry here, right? Ask for the referral. So that's the number one thing that I think you can do to help grow your practice if you're not already doing it. And number two is pain-free financial experiences. Now, this is a wide range, as is delivering pain-free injections. It comes down to a few different things. Number one, convenience, making it easy for patients to understand what their payment options are, what they are going to have to pay, when and how. And even so far as having very easy to pay payments on your website, a payment solution on your website, text to pay, email to pay. There's free solutions. We've got resources, again, around this podcast to get free hookups for text pay, email pay, web payments. Because let's face it, nobody even opens their mail very much anymore. I certainly don't. So if you get a bill in the mail, that's the last thing that's going to get paid. If, however, it pops up on your mobile phone, you get a text message saying, hey, you owe the dentist $25, it's going to be easy to pay it right there with your credit card. Make it easy for people. Beyond that, one of my favorite things is a membership plan. In my practice, we have a membership plan so that it makes it easy for patients that don't have dental insurance to have a savings plan that makes sense for everybody, right? Easy installment payments, making it easy for patients to say yes to your treatment, because it's clarity and simplicity in how they pay for treatment. It's a massive deal that if it's not number one or number two on your, if you've already got pain-free injections mastered, but this is a gap, I would recommend you start here next. And lastly, the third tip that I'll give you is focusing on the patient experience. When they come into your practice, all the way through from a pain-free experience, financial experience, what is everything that you're doing to take away the fears that patients have in their mind about having dentistry done? That's why we developed Opera VR, the digital nitrous. It transforms the experience of a patient in what I think is the one spot that hasn't been touched dramatically in the last 100 years. And that's in the operatory chair. When there's a handpiece whining and water and spit flying around the room, right? The patient has had the same experience for years and years, until Opera VR, therapeutic virtual reality, where we transport the patient's awareness to the beach, to Paris, somewhere else outside of the operatory. So, that's just one example of the experience coming to your practice that can change the game. So, again, I'll drop a bunch of links around this presentation. Of course, you can go to upgradedental.com to learn more about any or all of these solutions. And I look forward to seeing you next week at the Patients First podcast. Thank you very much.